We know that Donald Trump has said that he thinks slavery is overemphasized.
They want to be consumed by victimhood in every single display.
It's not victimhood. It's not victimhood, though, bro.
That's not victimhood. But as far as we know, he's not removing anything about black culture from the Black History Museum. He's not removing anything about black music from the Black History Museum.
No, but if he's not talking about he's scared of slavery.
Who took Teddy Roosevelt off of the museum?
Well,
I'm just curious. Who threw Christopher Columbus's statue in the water in New Jersey?
I mean, was it the president?
Well, okay, but who got rid of
I mean, you have a party that was founded by the abolitionists of this country. You had the Democratic Convention of 1860.
All right, guys, we've got a pretty intense CNN debate to react to today. We've got Abby Phillip on Newsnight panel with some both MAGA pundits debating slavery and shit. So I haven't seen this video, but apparently there are some rumors that Trump is trying to slowly delete the history of slavery, which is pretty fucking wild. So yeah, let's get started and we'll break this down as we go.
The Washington Post reports the administration has ordered multiple national parks to remove information about slavery, which is part of Trump's order to eliminate, quote, corrosive ideology. But this latest purge includes the removal of history at Harper's Ferry Park in West Virginia, where the abolitionist John Brown led a raid to attempt to arm slaves for a revolt. And also this iconic photograph known as the Scourged Back. It depicts a slave, likely named Peter Gordon, in 1863, and the wounds inflicted by his abusers. Now, at the time,
this is nasty.
The picture spread quickly in the North and showed people the true cruelty of slavery, something many wouldn't have seen otherwise. Franklin Leonard joins us at the table. Now, many people have claimed that this isn't happening, that the whole purpose of this review is not in large part about scrubbing slavery and policing how slavery is mentioned by the parks, by the Smithsonian and others. But this report suggests that might be the case. I will say a spokesperson for the Department of the Interior says that the Washington Post report is based on anonymous sources. They're cautioning that it's unverified.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a piece with the broader project that the Trump administration has had for months. I mean, he tweeted in August about museums and wanting to remove images that weren't bright and spoke to hope and the future of the country. And, you know, it's odd. I'm sitting here, I think, as part of the story of slavery in America. You know, my family, I am 4 generations removed from enslaved people in West Central Georgia, not far from where I grew up. And it's odd. I find it all very strange because, for me, what more great American story is there than the survival and triumph over enslavement, Jim Crow, and the repercussions therefrom? You know, if the American identity is defined by hard work, grit, endurance, community, and using those things as a way to navigate all the obstacles that the world may throw at us, I don't know that there's a better definition of the American identity than the rise from chattel slavery, unless you don't like who the heroes and villains of that story are. And I would posit that the reason we're seeing this rewriting of history and the removal of these images is that the Trump administration is not comfortable with who the villains and the heroes are in the story of slavery, and they're trying to remove them. And I think it's very interesting that this is happening simultaneous to the re-addition of Confederate generals being named to U.S. military bases. Because when those two things are simultaneously happening, it seems pretty obvious what the narrative thrust of the story is at least being attempted here.
I also think that it leads to some questions about just what is the federal government, what is the president, not even the federal government, what is the president doing, tinkering in the National Park Service's exhibits?
Who took Teddy Roosevelt off of the museum?
Well,
I'm just curious. Who threw Christopher Columbus's statue in the water in New Jersey?
I mean, was it the president?
Well, okay, but who got rid of Teddy Roosevelt in the Museum of Natural History?
Not the president. What?
No,
I mean,
I'm
he was
asking.
the president of the United States, and he can't be there. We don't like that statue. So it swings. My point.
So
I agree with every word that came out of your mouth.
I'm not familiar with this story. It wasn't, in fact, the president of the United States.
Well, I know. Put it this way: I know Joe Biden.
A statue is way different than a museum. Like what? With the museum, you're just rewriting history.
Biden doesn't say, hold on. That's a president of the United States. We're not removing his statue.
I mean, I think it's a legit question because, like, I think that's part of the conversation here. The horrors of slavery, I think it's a question, should the president actually be doing that?
Well, did you say, though, in the beginning of the story, we're not 100% sure if this is actually happening, or did I mishear you?
They're saying
they're reporting
that.
is right. So we don't even know if this is a fact.
I'm saying that they're saying that it's unverified, but we do know two things. One, we know that Donald Trump has said that he thinks slavery is overemphasized in the Smithsonian. He said as much explicitly in a tweet.
Yeah, he said, stop talking about it, just like he did with the FC files. This is just unacceptable.
The other thing is that he issued an executive order that is to that point. And here's a statement from the Park Service that says, interpretive materials that disproportionately emphasize negative aspects of U.S. history or historical figures without acknowledging broader context or national progress can unintentionally distort understanding rather than enrich it. So they are looking to...
What? That's fucking bullshit. Like, the best part of history is that society doesn't repeat the mistakes it has done in the past. It's such fucking bullshit.
They are looking to change some of these historical, posters and placards. And I think the question remains, is this something that the president should be doing? And why is he so fixated on slavery?
Look, I have no idea. If anything, I think the Republican Party should go on their front foot on slavery. I mean, you have a party that was founded by the abolitionists of this country. You had the Democratic Convention of 1860, which was split on basically which faction of the Democratic Party wanted more slavery. So if I was leading the Republican Party, I'd say let's go on our front foot on slavery. And I would find it hard to believe that you could eliminate slavery from a museum about John Brown. That said, not every time people want to go into the Smithsonian Museum with their 7-year-old kid, they want to be consumed by victimhood in every single display.
It's not victimhood. It is not victimhood, though, bro.
No, but things are always placed in the context.
Victimhood is crazy.
Things are often placed in a social context where it's oppressed versus oppressors, and sort of, that narrative. And
that's history, bro. There was oppressed and oppressors.
That scope and shape. I think sometimes it is okay to have a little bit more of a lighthearted, positive view of the country, especially when the federal government is paying for this.
What if it's not historically accurate? What if it's not historically?
What kind of fucking bullshit is this guy putting, bro? Like what?
Well, you're selecting things that go into a museum. That doesn't make the fact that you've unselected it to go in a museum as inaccurate. You're just saying.
But where I saw that picture was in the Museum of African American History.
I want to get Cornell.
Where
John Brown. That was
No, but I just want to say, Brother Joe, and see, Brother Franklin's point was this, that we black people, it's true for poor people, working people, whoever, have never been solely victims. When you're victimized, that doesn't mean you're solely a victim. The great tradition of culture, music, politics, community, church, mosque, synagogue in black communities. Is it true in other communities?
I don't agree with him on the music part. I think black people are doing that themselves.
Too means they're responding to victimization. But the Trump administration, part of their challenge is, and I don't want to criticize them solely, because there's ways of deodorizing and the histories in various other ways. But the condition of truth is to allow suffering to speak. He does not want to see black suffering centered in that way. Part of the challenge of our country has always been the vicious legacy of white supremacy.
But as far as we know, he's not removing anything about black culture from the Black History Museum. He's not removing anything about black music from the Black History Museum.
No,
but if he's not talking about he's scared of slavery.
But he's not talking about the sources of that culture. He's removing where that culture came from. And so if you don't have the history of where that culture came from, if you don't have the photo of the whipped back, you don't understand, you can't contextualize the...
Yep, this guy's totally right. Like, this photo was one of the biggest reasons that helped slavery end in the 1860s.
Joy and the triumph that is black. You don't understand, you can't contextualize the joy and the triumph that is black culture in the decades and centuries that followed. And I think that, again, I think if you want to talk about heroism and the American identity, what better, look, I'm biased. I'm the descendant of enslaved peoples. But what better story of the American identity is there than we survived one of the greatest moral evils ever perpetrated on earth and have found joy and triumphed here in this country.
And love for this country.
Exactly. And you can't tell that story without telling the first part.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's just entertainment.
Not to mention that there's still so many people.
It's like not keeping track of 9/11 during the 2000s just because it was controversial or just because it made some people uncomfortable or something. Like, what the fuck are they talking about, these two boat guys?
Who don't know what happened, don't know these facts. I was perplexed. First time I went to the to the Museum of African American History, by the amount of people who told me they did not know who Emmett Till was. People in my life who had not heard about Emmett Till. So we need to have the historical
The fuck is Emmett Till?
truth.
All right, let's leave it there. Next for us, Don.
All right, guys. This one is. Let me know what you guys think. This is pretty wild. Rewriting history.